Welcome to another video by Pharos Technology. Today I want to share with you 4 subjects. We're going to talk about primary keys and why they're important, required fields that you might want to use to make sure you get good complete data on each of your records, auto-indexing, and then indexing individual tables and fields. So let's get started. So in advanced table design, what we talk about is setting up the tables so that they conform to a standard, such as third normal form. Well, part of second normal form is literally having a primary key. And of course, a good primary key satisfies the second normal form requirement of uniquely identifying each record. It also can't be null. So if you identify a primary key, you force data to be in that primary key for every single record. The next thing, it must exist when the record is created. So this requirement means that you don't commit the record until you have that primary key field filled in. It always is stable, meaning that it cannot be changed once the record has been established. And the logic behind that is if you're pointing to it from another field that needs the data in there and you have a foreign key already established pointing to the correct data, you don't want that primary key changing so that it corrupts the data or becomes unlinked from the data in the other table. The next thing is, in addition to setting up a primary key and achieving those objectives, you end up having several benefits. First off, a primary key is always an index, which helps you to find the individual records that you're looking for much faster as you use that primary key. The next thing is it also pre-sorts the order of the data in your record, meaning that whenever it presents the data to you, it'll be pre-sorted in the order of the primary index. The next thing is when you add new records to the table, Access checks for duplicate data. So let's say that the data that you want to put in and uses your primary key is, let's say, a student number. So it's a manually entered field that you need to make sure is unique. And maybe you take the first 3 letters of their last name and their first initial, and then you put 4 digits after it. It checks to make sure that every one of those primary keys that you set for the student number is unique within the data table. That's so that you don't end up assigning the same student number to 2 different students. And that, of course, is a huge benefit. Next is that it always displays by default in the order of the primary key. Now, so let's look at how to set your primary key. When we're looking at a table here, let's open just a regular test table that I created here. Now, how do you set up this as a primary key? Well, you go over here, and I've set it as a test ID being an auto number. An auto number really is an easy way to set a primary key for a table that doesn't necessarily have a particular field that is always going to be primary. So in order to set a primary key, you just add an auto number field. In this case, we called it test ID. And it's already indexed, but when we come up here and click on this, if we go to our home ribbon here, if we go to our table design ribbon here, we have this button called primary key. And that primary key then, when we click it, puts a key next to here, and then it creates a situation where, yes, it's duplicated, and then it also enforces the fact that it can never be null. So that is how you set your primary keys. Okay, so let's switch back to our presentation. Now let's move on to required fields. Now required fields are good to have when it's a situation where you need the data to be complete for every single record. So if you're missing a piece of data, it becomes detrimental to the use of the rest of the database. When you want to set a required field, you can set it on short text, and you can set a required field on a number field. The auto number field, notice it's absent down here. For an auto number field, it is automatically going to fill in every single record with an auto number. So therefore you don't need to have a particular setting to tell it to be required. Okay, so the next subject is auto indexing. The way to get to this auto index is to go to File, then Options, and you'll be able to see this dialog box when you click on Object Designers here. Now, Object Designers, if you go to this middle section here, has settings for auto index. Now, auto index essentially means that anytime that I have the ID or the word key or the word code or num at the end of my field name, it's going to automatically set up an index for that particular field. So if I have student num or key code or any other combination of something ID or something code, it will pick that up and automatically place an index on that field. Now, setting up auto index can make things go a little bit quicker, but when you have need to index other fields, you have that option in all three of these different types of fields. So the short text has the chance to index it, and here I selected yes, duplicates okay, but you can also have yes, no duplicates. And the same is true with your number fields and with your auto number fields. Now, an auto number field pretty much automatically has no duplicates. So I'm not quite sure why Microsoft left this particular entry in the auto number field setup, but it's there. So it's there and available. You can change it from duplicates okay to no duplicates, but both of those settings are really the kind of thing that auto number already does. So that's the primer on field indexing. I hope that you got some value out of these 4 topics. I hope that as you build each one of your tables, that you learn to look for these type of items while you're building the table to make sure your table is as robust and as well set up as possible. So if you got some value out of this, hit that like button for me and let's get this out to other people. And I hope to see you again.